Okay, I am going to demonstrate making an American English kinship map using QuickTime Player, a drawing on an iPad. I'm using Adobe Photoshop Sketch as the software for making the drawing. I begin a new project, tapping the plus, using the iPad format, which I've already set to be full screen. First step is to set a graph type grid just to help with the drawings. I'll use the standard symbols that are now commonly found in different websites, usually associated with the idea of drawing kinship charts or genealogies. But this is neither, a kinship map is neither a chart or a genealogy. It's a very distinctive thing all by itself. It is what has, for over 100 years, been discussed by anthropologists under the head of a kinship terminology, but various mistaken assumptions associated with the idea that a terminology was simply a set of terms and the things they designated led to ongoing confusion and never produced a clear sense of what it was that was really important. And what it was and is not the terms, but a system of ideas associated with certain kinds of kinship terms. These are the terms for kinship relations, and especially for kinship relations as conceived of as organized around yourself or oneself, often described as an ego, an I. This as opposed to other kinds of kinship terms such as relatives or kinsmen, which are not necessarily associated with the idea of a self. Terms associated with the idea of a self are like father, brother, sister, and so on. In working with this idea, we have found, that is the idea of a kinship map, that kinship maps basically divide into two major types. In one of these, the self can be either male or female. In the other, there's a distinctive kinship map or a distinctive set of terms and concepts for a female as opposed to a male. And English happens to be one of those kinship maps where the concepts are for either one, male or female. So we can draw this, if I can get started. As a self, have to designate the drawing tool, as either male or female by a triangle, which normally represents a male, inside a circle, which normally represents a female. In order to obtain the kinship map, we need a framework for eliciting. And the eliciting frame for a kinship map is the set of direct kin related to ego. Every self has some direct kin and some indirect kin. Indirect kin are kin of kin related through other kin. Direct kin are kin who are not related to oneself through anyone else. They're one's immediate kin. And these are usually related through two types. And the types vary culturally, but in broad terms, the types are birth, relations of birth or descent, and relations of marriage. Other societies, different societies, can maybe have just one type of relation or more than two. In English, however, before doing this elicitation, we have determined that people use two: marriage or descent. We can represent descent by the anthropological convention of a single line and represent marriage with an equal marks. Each person has two people that are their relatives, their ascendant relatives, those who they are descended from, a mother and a father. So we can write it in. Each person has two relations that are on their own descent line from their mother and father. Male is brother, female is sister. And we've misdrawn that a little bit, so we can erase the mess. So sister, brother. And one can have two people who are one's descendants, a daughter and a son. Now this is the eliciting frame, in the sense that we know that every one of these relations also is a self to themselves, and they also therefore have these same six relations. So we can ask our informants what each of these other direct relations are to self. That's the part that really requires demonstration, because it's not always immediately obvious how this is going to go. So we can start with mother. What is the mother? We know, because we've just figured it out, has a mother. So we can ask, what is mother of mother to self? And the answer is grandmother. Mother has a father. So we can ask, what is father of mother to self? And the answer is grandfather. Mother has a sister. And we can ask what sister of mother is to self, and the answer is aunt. Mother has a brother, and we can ask what brother of mother is, and the answer is uncle. Mother would have sons and daughters. And we ask, what is the daughter of mother to self? And in this case, the answer is sister, which we already have. So we should ask, is it the same as the sister we already have. Do we need to add anything else? And the answer is no, it's the same. You already have it. Mother will have a son, and we ask what is the son of mother to self, and the answer is brother. And we ask again, is that the brother we already have? The answer is yes. Do we need to add anything else? No. So we have that. And we can ask, what is the... That's it. We've asked, well, we can ask, what is the husband of mother to self? And the answer is father. And, of course, we already have that as well. And that's it. That's all the 6 relations plus the spouse for mother. So now we can do the same thing for father. What is the mother of father? And the answer is grandmother. The answer meaning we'll have a group of informants, and that's what they'll say. And we should ask, well, is that the same grandmother relation we already have? Is it mother of mother the same as father, same relation as father of mother? And the answer is yes. So can we draw it this way? The answer is yes. Why not? What is the brother of mother, of father? The answer is uncle. Well, we already have uncle. Is that the same uncle we already have? And the answer, uncle relation, we already have. The answer is yes. So we don't need to change anything there. What is the sister of father? The answer is aunt. Again, the same that we already have. Do we need to change anything? No. What is the son of father? We have, the answer is brother. Is that the same brother? Yes. Do we need to change anything? No. Or it could be self, of course. And what is the daughter of father? And the answer is sister or self, if one is female. And do we need to change anything? Again, the answer is no. And again, we can ask, what is spouse, wife of father? And the answer is mother. And we already have that. So we now have all the 6 direct relations of father and mother. And we can ask, well, that's kind of awkward looking for what we've just elicited. Can we draw it more neatly to represent that? And the answer is something like, why not? Try, let's see what happens. So we'll erase grandfather and grandmother. And draw it this way. Draw them this way. Now, does that say to our informants that the children of a grandmother and grandfather are one's father and or mother, and or one's aunts or uncles? And the answer is yes. And we can go ahead and ask, what's the spouse of an aunt? We don't have to at this point, but at some point we do. What's the husband of an aunt, and what's the wife of an uncle? And the answer is the husband of an aunt is an uncle, and the wife of an uncle is an aunt. So can we signify all that by doing that, writing the equal marks between them? And the answer is yes, as long as we understand that means an aunt is either the wife or sister of an uncle, and an uncle is either the wife or sister of an aunt, but not both. The answer is yes, we can do that. Okay, now we can come to sister, and we can again ask what the direct kin of sister are to self. And the question is, what is mother of sister to self? And the answer is mother. Do we already have that? Yes. What is the father of sister to self? Father. Do we already have that? Yes. Do we need to change anything? No. What is the brother of sister to self? And the answer is brother. Do we need to change anything? No. What is the son of sister to self? And this introduces actually two new concepts. First of all, nephew. And what is the daughter of sister to self? The answer is niece. Oh, it's one new concept. It's the idea of a collateral. And I'm sorry, I did need to change that. The sister should have a husband, and the husband is called, and we ask what's the husband, and the husband is called son-in-law, and therefore, and that's the other new concept, the in-law part. So we can write that in, a little erasing. Oops. Husband of sister is brother-in-law. Oops. And what's new is the idea that all these other terms are used to describe people, and we can also use them as terms of address, that is, to call them or name them. And brother-in-law, we do not do that. We will use brother-in-law for address, for describing the relation, but we call them brother. It's not polite to refer to somebody by as a kinship name as brother-in-law. It's just sort of a little distancing. Let me make that neater. And we do the same for brother. What is the father of brother to self? And the answer is father. What's the mother of brother to self? And the answer is mother. And what is the sister of brother to self? And the answer is sister, or self if one is female. And what is the brother of brother to self? And the answer is brother, or self if one is male. So that's almost complete. And then if we ask what is the son of brother to self, we get nephew. What is the daughter of self? We get niece. So can we, like we did with the father-mother, draw them like that to show that? That is, the children of brother or sister are nephew or niece. And the answer will be yes, you can. Makes no difference which side they're on. And then if we ask what's the spouse of nephew, the wife of nephew, we get niece. And if we ask what's the husband of niece, we get nephew. So can we draw it as we have with the others, with an equal marks and the sibling line, the descent line, meaning that a niece is either the wife of a nephew or the sister of a nephew, and a nephew is either the husband of a niece or the brother of a niece, and the answer is yes, you can. There's no problem with that. As long as we're clear that these are relations, not individuals. And then finally we do the same for daughter and son. What is the son of son? And the answer is grandson. What is the daughter of son? The answer is granddaughter. What is the son of daughter? And the answer is grandson. And what is the daughter of daughter? And the answer is granddaughter. So can we draw that in the same way, or sort of a mirror image of the same way as we have for the parental relations? And the answer is yes. So let's clean that up by erasing and redrawing. Oh, forgot the need also daughter-in-law. And then oops. We need son-in-law. And daughter. And for son, we need daughter-in-law and son. And then we have grandson and granddaughter. Okay, now that is the direct kin of all the direct kin. Oops. Just cleaning this up a little. Next, we can start the same thing again with all the new positions we have elicited. So what is the father of grandfather? They too will, of course, all have the direct kin, and those will have some computable relation to self. So what is the father of father? Father of grandfather. And the answer is, I'll do it a little more naively. Again, we have to have a married couple, male and female. And the female is great grandmother. And the male is great grandfather. What is the brother of great grandfather, of grandfather? And the answer is great uncle. I'll put that over here. Can do it either way. Or granduncle. Say granduncle. What is the sister of grandfather, and the answer is, the sister of great-grandmother, and the answer is great-aunt. What is the daughter of great-grandmother? And the answer is grandmother, which we already have. Does that need any change? No. Can I draw it like that? Yes. And I'll come back and redraw that because I can see that's the same pattern as the one below. What is the son of great-grandfather? We already have that, grandfather. And that's that. So again, can I redraw this as I have the generation below? And the answer is yes. So we can do this. Sorry. What is the the mother of I've already got that. Great-grandmother. What is the daughter of great-grandfather? Great-grandmother, we already have that. And this is a question, not something I just say. What is the son of great-grandfather? We already have that. So we have the I'm losing track. So we now have the 6 direct relations of grandfather. Father of grandfather is great-grandfather. Mother of great-grandfather is great-grandmother. Brother of great-grandfather is great-aunt, is great-uncle. Sister of great-grandfather is great-aunt. Son of great-grandfather is either father or uncle. Daughter of grandfather or grandfather is either mother or aunt. And that is all 6, so we've done that. We can ask, what is the husband of great-aunt? And the answer is great-uncle. We can ask what the wife of great-uncle is, and the answer is aunt. And as we have begun to suspect, a great-uncle, then we can add the equal marks, and that will be understood, that will be correctly understood as meaning a great-uncle is the brother or husband of a great-aunt, and a great-aunt is the sister or wife of a great-uncle, but not both. And we'll come back and we can again ask, what are the direct kin of great-grandfather and great-grandmother? And we may as well do that now. And when we do that, we are likely to be told, you don't need to keep asking. There's a rule, and the rule, we can call it Rule 1, just add great. You just add the word great to the front of the name, and you cover it. And that goes on forever. And we can ask the same thing for brothers and sisters of great uncles and aunts, and the answer is still rule 1. Just add great. If we ask what is the, we've already got these are boundary conditions, so we've already got the top and bottom, top of the system. There's no need to elicit more. We've got the rule that we can use to generate whatever will be there. We can ask, and we should do this explicitly, what is the husband of great-great-aunt? And the answer is great-great-uncle. And what's the wife of great-great-uncle? And the answer is great-great-aunt. So is great-great-uncle either a wife, a husband, or sister of great-great-aunt? The answer is yes. Is a great-aunt either the wife or sister of a great-great-uncle? And the answer is yes, but not a direct ancestor. Okay, what is the child of an uncle and aunt? And the answer is cousin. And in English, if we say what's the son, what's the daughter, the answer is the same, it's cousin. So let me erase and clean that up a little. Cousin is male or female, so we have cousin. If we ask what's the spouse of a cousin, husband or wife, the answer is cousin. If we ask what's the child of a cousin, the answer is cousin. If we ask what is the child of a great uncle and great aunt, the answer is cousin. And we should ask, well, can we make the line go to that as well? And the answer is yes. And what's the child of a great-great-aunt and great-great-uncle? And the answer is cousin. Can we do that? Yes. And the child of a cousin is always a cousin. This may get us into discussions, very likely will if the group is large, of first cousin, second cousin, removed, once removed, twice removed. And in most cases, first of all, there will not be agreement. And secondly, if for most of those possibilities, these will not be what anthropologists call self-reciprocal. Self-reciprocal is when the same term is its own reciprocal. That is, if I'm your cousin, you're my cousin. Cousin is always self-reciprocal, but all of these combinations are not. If I'm your first cousin once removed, it may be defined in such a way that it's self-reciprocal. You must be my first cousin once removed. But sometimes, often, it's not. So what we note is that there's no agreement, no strong consensus on this, although there is a logic that will provide a self-reciprocal set of terms, set of rules for using the first, second, third distinction and the idea of removal. But most people don't know it. Okay, so now we've got what anthropologists and others have for over 100 years called collaterals. We have a central descent line marked by the mother-father stem, mother, grandfather, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and rule 1, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and rule 1. And we have collateral lines branching off marked by the aunt-uncle, distinction, and at each generation, again, adding a qualifier. And their offspring are cousins, so that's the second collateral line. And cousin beyond cousin, and in that same way, beyond great uncle and great aunt, or aunt or uncle, people are not kin. So this is the horizontal boundary of the system. And finally, if we come down to nephew-niece and ask, what is the son, daughter of nephew-niece? We get the daughter is grandniece. The son is grandnephew. I suppose it could also be great-nephew. And any time you redraw like this, you should ask your informants if that's correct, if you're not, to be sure you're not introducing a new idea that is inconsistent with the ideas you've already gotten. And if we ask what is the child of a son of a grandson, we get great-grandson. What is the daughter of a grandson? We get great-granddaughter. And if we ask what's the son of a granddaughter, we get great-grandson. And what is the daughter of a granddaughter? We get great-granddaughter. So can we redraw that? And the answer is why not? So we go ahead and do that. And by why not, I mean, does it change the meaning? And again, we have great-grandson should be married, great-granddaughter should be married. But in this case, no one will say that the daughter of a great-grandson or a grandson is grandson-in-law. It's just not said. And similarly, that the son of husband of a granddaughter is grandson-in-law. The in-law addition, modification, is used only for direct kin of the people, of one's own direct kin. So we can draw it this way. Or can we draw it this way? The answer is yes. And then if we ask what's the son, daughter of a great-grandson, great-granddaughter, oops. The answer again is Rule 1. Just keep adding grades. So we can clean that up. And if we ask what's the son and daughter of grandnephew, again we get the same thing. People won't say, well, they have to be married. You have to have grandniece-in-law. That's just not offered. And there's no grandnephew-in-law, but the son and daughter of grandniece and grandnephew are great-grandniece and great-grandnephew. And if we ask what their sons and daughters are, can we draw it this way? Yes. And the answer again is Rule 1. Just keep adding grades. So now we have reached boundary conditions on all sides. And we have what people have constantly talked about and recognized verbally, but has not been elicited by any of the other types of kinship methods. We have a descent line, including self, and we have collateral lines branching off at each generation, and the collaterals are above one's own generation, uncle and aunts, on one's own generation, cousins, below one's own generation, nephews and nieces. They all end with they end at top and bottom with the rule just add great, and they end to the side with the idea of cousin. Beyond a cousin, people are not related. So this is the complete, coherent kinship map for English. We've hit all the boundaries. There's nothing more to add. We have the rules for generating. Now, how do we read what we've got? The answer is that all the terms above and to one side of self are the reciprocals of the terms on the other side of self. So, for example, mother is one step up from self. Son-daughter are one step down from self. So the reciprocal of mother is son-daughter, son or daughter. Father is one step up. Son-daughter one step down. Reciprocal of father is son-daughter. Grandfather is two steps up. Granddaughter and son are two steps down. Grandfather and grandson, granddaughter are reciprocals of one another. Uncle is one step up and to the side. That is, say, go up to mother and mother's brother. So the reciprocal you find by going from self to, say, sister, and down one, and it's nephew and niece. Go up two to great uncle, two and to the side. So from self, go two down and to the side. Down and two to the side and down two, and you get great grandnephew, grandniece. So it's not only it's reciprocal, it's also logically symmetrical in that way. That is, each term in the system has a reciprocal in the system. That's not necessarily the case in all kinship maps, but it's in most of them. And lots of good reasons for that, to make them learnable and reinforceable. If you're someone's relative, almost every concept of what a relative is, you must be their relative, and vice versa. Well, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. If somebody's your relative, you must be their relative, and then vice versa. If they're your relative, you must be their relative. So there must be a reciprocal. There are a few exceptions, sort of, or partial exceptions. Okay, that's complete. We now have the entire English kinship map. Not a genealogy, not a terminology. We have terms, but the terms are really designating ideas, and we can designate, that is, any user can designate the same ideas with different terms. So these particular terms are just those actually formally, most conventionally associated with conveying the definition of the idea. But the idea is actually the relationship of each of these positions to all the other positions. That's the ultimate formal definition. And if we change the name, for example, if we say mother is Ma, how do we know mother is Ma? Because Husband of mother is father. Sister of ma is uncle. Brother of ma sorry, I said it wrong. Sister of ma is aunt. Brother of ma is uncle, and so on. So that all the other defining characteristics of only the term has changed. So the term itself is not what's crucial. It's the relations to all the others that make up its definition. So now we can save this.